Hello all. So in this video, we'll be discussing hypothesis testing. So it is most important concept in statistics as well as nowadays in data science. So let's begin with some motivation. So before that, I'll give some brief introduction that why the name is hypothesis testing, right? Testing itself suggests that we'll do some test. But what is hypothesis? The hypothesis, as the name suggests, that we'll assume something that this assumption is true, right? So based on our assumption, right, and we will call the assumption as h naught. Now we will be having some method or some things that we'll try to prove this assumption as correct, right? And if we'll get that our method, or that is whatever method we are taking, we'll discuss all this thing. But as a brief introduction, we can say that all methods at the end will conclude that whether by doing some method we'll conclude that whether our assumption is true or not. And if it's true, then we'll accept that yes, our hypothesis that we assumed hypothetically is true, or else we'll say that it's not true, and we'll accept what alternate hypothesis, which is denoted by h1. So h0 and h1 both are opposite of each other. So h0 is null hypothesis, then h1 will be called alternate hypothesis. So it's nothing but a proof by contradiction. So this is very brief introduction, but let me motivate why it's the need in real life of this hypothesis testing. So consider that we have 5,000 cables. So I bought from some company 5,000 cables of some metal and some material, and I need that it should have some breaking strength. Okay, for my construction purpose or something, I need some cables. So the company claims that. So this is the claim of the manufacturing company. So the company claimed that average breaking strength is 7,000 psi. So average breaking strength of all the cables is at least, let's say average breaking strength is at least 7,000 psi. Psi is some term of calculating the strength in mechanics. So it's called pounds per square inch. It's usually used in United States. It's standard there. So basically this is the claim, and we have to verify this claim. So how we can verify? And here comes into play our hypothesis testing. So thanks to hypothesis testing that we can verify it. So firstly, as I said, that what we'll assume is that let my hypothesis says that the average is 7,000 psi. The average breaking strength is 7,000 psi. And then what we'll do is that we'll use some method, or we'll have some steps, and we'll prove this at the end that whether the assumption is correct or not by some method. So we will see what that method is, which will be the main motive of the lecture. So this is just to verify, just to motivate that why it's the need. But here I'll go into some mathematical details now, that there are some terms called population, right? In statistics, this is not the population of the world, like it's not the number of counts of person in the world or in some particular country. It's a population term in statistics. It means that here of 5,000 cables, or it can be any number, but it will be a very large number, right? So this large number will be called population set. So this cables, which is the initial set, right, it's called population. And from that, or what we can do is that in order to verify this claim, one lame process can be, you can say that let's measure the strength by some machine or some tool individually for 5,000 cables. Let's say we have 10,000 cables. Then, so is it feasible that we can measure this 5,000 or 10,000 huge amount of cables using some method? No. So for that, what we need is that we'll randomly take 20 samples from this 5,000 population. So this is called population, and these are called samples. So 20 samples that I'll take are called samples, and we'll measure only the mean of this 20 samples, which is feasible. Yeah. And then we'll say that, let's say this was the original mu, right? And this is the mu of sample. So original mean strength was of all the entire population of 5,000 cables was mu. But after using some sampling and after picking randomly, sampling means nothing but there is different type of sampling like uniform sampling. There are other many samplings. So we'll not go into that detail. But the main thing is that we'll sample randomly 20 samples and we'll measure the mean. right? We'll measure the strength, I mean, and let's say the mean of the 20 strength of this breaking strength of this 20 cables is denoted by x bar. So what will be our goal? Our goal should be that x bar should be as close as should be close to, I mean, like x bar should tends to, let me write like this, mu, right? Because this is the original and this is what we predicted by just taking a smaller class of samples. So our entire goal in hypothesis testing is that we'll try to have this x bar as close as mu, right? So for this we'll develop a method. Even I will show you the entire proof that how all these tests that we are going to perform. So in the very next slide there are some tests. So there is the term population, which I already explained, right? So what will happen is that we'll be knowing this mu, right? So and we can calculate by 20 samples this mu as well, or it will be given in the question as well. Okay, so no need to calculate, and we'll be having this mu. But what about the variance of this? It can be provided of the population, I'm saying, and it cannot be. So based on if whether the variance is provided or not, so there are two types of test. First is Z test and second is T test, right? Also in Z test we have one-sided and two-sided test. So what this one-sided and two-sided mean, let me quickly just clear these things. That let's say we assume that our hypothesis is that our strength is 7000 psi, right? So alternate will be what? Obviously H naught not equals to 7000 psi. So this is two-sided test, because in H1, sorry, we are not sure that whether our H1 will be having greater than 7000 or less than 7000, right? Because it's not equal to, it means that it can be either greater or can be smaller. Whereas in one-sided test, so it is two-sided test, because we have two possibilities in case of alternate hypothesis. Whereas for one-sided, what we'll have is that H naught will be the same, mu naught equals to 7000 psi, but H1 will be mu1, we denote it by mu1 sometimes, right? Was not mu1, we denote it by H1, sorry. And we'll say that mu naught is either greater than 7000 or mu naught is less than 7000. Both can't be possible, okay? So at a time only one thing is possible, either greater than or either less than, and that's why it is called one-sided test. So we'll discuss both types of test in here. So firstly we'll begin with Z test, one-sided as well as two-sided, and then we'll begin with T test. And T is also a distribution, right? So we'll see what's this student T distribution is, why it's the need of this. So this I'll try to divide in couple of lectures of this entire hypothesis testing, right? So let's begin in the very next lecture with some motivation to Z test. And before ending this lecture, let me just have the basic steps that we are gonna have in this entire playlist or in this entire lecture series. That very first step will be obviously that we will say set our null hypothesis. This is our very first step. Then obviously the alternate will be based on whether it is one-sided, two-sided, whether it is Z test, T test. So firstly we will discuss for Z test. So let me just, meanwhile whatever I'll say is for Z test, okay? But you can consider this case as general as well. So consider test statistics. So the very second step is that we'll need some test statistics. What this itself says that it will be used, as I said in the very starting of the lecture, that we will need some methods that whether our H naught is correct or not. So this is the method that the test statistics, it is denoted by Z or T. So obviously in Z test we'll denote it by Z, and in T test we'll denote it by T. That's why I wrote both of them here. And then the step number 3 will be based on alpha. Now there is an important thing, that alpha is the significance level. So what is alpha, what is significance level, I'll show you in the example, but here I'll briefly tell you that alpha means that will be given in the question that we can accept alpha as 0, our alpha is given as 0.05, not accept, but alpha is 0.05. It means that this is our significance level. Alpha basically denotes that what level of error I can tolerate. So what level of error I can tolerate, or I am allowing to tolerate. Above this we can't tolerate. So this is significance level. And we'll see in the question that what is actually significance level, and based on significance level alpha, we'll calculate Z alpha in obviously in case of Z test, and T alpha in case of T test. And in order to calculate Z alpha and T alpha, we will need the tables of distributions. That is, whether we'll be having Gaussian distribution, that is normal distribution of the population, that is population means this thing, that the cables that we are having, these are, you can say 5,000 cables, so all will be having, we have 5,000 data in this data set, we can say like this. So it will follow some distribution, I mean the means of this, the average breaking strength will follow some distribution, right? So that distribution will be either Gaussian, or it could be either student T distribution. So mostly in Z test we'll be having Gaussian, right? And in T distribution we'll be having student T distribution, right? So we'll see all these things in example, but I'm just showing the brief overview or the entire recipe that we'll follow. And obviously the last step will be, we'll decide whether to accept our H0 or to reject H0. So how we'll do this, let me just plot quickly. This you won't get, and don't worry if you won't get this, that how I directly plotted this graph. But the graph will look something like this, that let's say this is our Z alpha, and I'm considering Gaussian distribution. As I said, it will be in terms of Gaussian only. So if, let me just write Z alpha for time being. So if my Z is greater than Z alpha, so Z alpha will be fixed. If my Z that I calculate, which is this test statistics, will fall in this region, that is greater than Z alpha, then we'll say that we'll reject. And obviously for less than, we'll say that we'll accept, right? And note that I warned you that I just wrote this thing for one-sided test only, or one tail test only. In two-sided test, our alpha will be alpha by 2, right? So in that case the graph will be something like this, that we'll be having this thing only, but we'll be having here Z alpha by 2, and here as well. Okay, this is also Z alpha by 2, obviously minus Z alpha by 2, because Gaussian is symmetric. So the general thing is that, this is the most general thing, the general thing is that in this region, right, we will reject. In this region as well we will reject, but we will accept in this region. So this is the region to accept. So in our case here, when Z is greater than Z alpha by 2 will be this region, so we will reject. That's why I wrote reject H0, right? So we'll see how this graph is plotted, everything. So I'll derive the entire proof, how to calculate test statistics, why like test statistics is calculated like this. Sometimes you directly have the formula, that if you will Google, or like if you will follow some non-standard books, then there will be some formula that this is the test statistics, and just compare it, find Z alpha from the table will be provided to you, you can find it on Wikipedia as well, and then just comparing, you are done. But I'll try to show the intuitive process, that how it is actually happening, how this graph is being created, right? So stay tuned for this next lecture. I know that this is a very brief overview, so some of you might got confused with some terms, but I tried my best, and stay tuned for the next lecture. Thank you.